Happy Super Bowl Sunday to everybody. This is my first time on a treadmill in about 3 years, and before this I was actually running, which is the first thing I've done in about 5 years now. So my legs are hurting a little bit, ego is bruised a little bit, but it's all good. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about today is kind of a misconception that when most people come into the gym, when they want to get in shape, they kind of focus on the fat that they have, right? They don't like to see the image in the mirror, they don't like the way their clothes are fitting, they just don't like the way that they look. And so what we really do is we try to focus on losing all this weight. And that's part of it, and it's a small part of the bigger picture. But a lot of times we're just kind of unhappy with who we are and how we're living our lives in general. And we see that as a result of being fat or being overweight or not looking the way we want. And so if you just kind of focus on just the, I want to get in shape so I can lose this weight, versus focusing on, I want to change the way in which I live my life, right? And so exercise and nutrition is a kind of a small piece of the bigger puzzle here. And a lot of times people are just so focused on that they're not really considering all the other influences that they have in their life that are kind of making them make these decisions. And so if you consider sleep quality, stress, your thoughts, your behaviors, your actions, all these things kind of form into who you are. Even though you're not just your thoughts, you're not your feelings, you're not sensitive to all these things, but a lot of times people are just so focused on the diet, they're so focused on the nutrition, they're really trying to gain some control in their life. And a lot of people I work with, just a lot of people in general, their lives are somewhat out of control, right? They have all this different stuff going on, things are happening very quick, they're overwhelmed, they're stressed. A lot of people are dissatisfied with the jobs they have, dissatisfied with relationships that they're in. And what's ended up happening is that they're trying to cling on to some control, something they can have some influence on, and something they feel like they can have a desired outcome in which they want. And so people start to become really obsessed with their nutrition. People start to become obsessed with the food that they eat, and it kind of becomes this really kind of fucked up mentality because they don't like the way they look, so they change the way they eat and change the way they're trying to exercise at the same time. They're not really changing other aspects of their life, right? They're not really getting better sleep necessarily. They're not really managing their stress. They're just trying to focus on exercise and nutrition. And that's kind of like an up and down kind of battle, right? You get these results real quick, or for most of us get results relatively quickly, but then we don't really keep them, right? We have this extended period of time in which things are going good, momentum is high, our enthusiasm is high, but all of a sudden something happens and we start to slip up again. Usually it's like a life event, or you go on vacation, you can't seem to get back on track, or you have some type of family incident or some type of conflict relationship, or there's a big project at work, right? There's always usually something that causes this. And then you kind of find that it's hard to get back into the swing of things again. And so you kind of wait, you regress, your habits start slipping, and pretty much you go back to where you started from, right? I've seen this so many times as a trainer and coach, in which people finally get the goal they want to, right? They lose the 10 or 15 pounds they wanted to lose, and then all of a sudden they get to the goal, and once they're there, they just go right back to their previous habits and previous things. And first of all, the goal was never really the goal. If you're focusing on just losing the 10 pounds, you lose the 10 pounds, it's like, okay, then what, right? Most people don't adhere to the same habits, most people don't adhere to the same things they did in order to get there in the first place. And so rather than kind of focusing on just the goal of losing the weight, you have to consider the fact that you don't really graduate from fitness, right? You don't graduate, like I'm done working out now, this is it. It's kind of a continuum, it's a way of living your life. It becomes more of a part of the identity in terms of who you are. And so you don't really graduate from fitness. And you have to continue to do those things that you're doing, realizing that you're not really seeking the weight, you're not really seeking the pant size, you're not really chasing necessarily the way you look, but you're trying to focus on the way that you want to feel as a result of working out consistently, right? You're trying to focusing on the way that you want to live your life. And so therefore, all the habits that you create, all the things that you do, all the things that you say, all the way you manage yourself in a daily life become really important. And so my kind of create a paradigm shift in the way that I coach people, in the way the fitness industry is kind of moving. We're going more towards a holistic approach and trying to take the bigger picture into consideration, that it's not just exercise, it's not just nutrition. There's a lot of things that are going on. And so instead of just focusing on trying to lose the weight, try to focus on the way in which you want to live your life and realize that it's a layered effect, right? You just start off with just maybe making some habits. You start off maybe some changes in the way that you eat, maybe some changes in the way that you sleep. But it's really important that you continue this and you don't necessarily let these little bumps in the road derail your progress. And for a lot of people who really want to seek this element of control, they have this principle in which they messed up one day in their diet or they messed up a meal and it's like, fuck it, well that's it for me. It's kind of like this, you get a flat tire, you're not going to go around your car, poke holes in the rest of your tires because you got one flat. The same type of things same type of principle is important to kind of carry that over to nutrition. One bad meal is not going to screw you up. One bad day is not going to screw you up. One missed workout is not going to screw you up. But, it's not all for naught. And so trying to maintain that momentum that you had from the beginning is really important by identifying why you started in the first place and really keeping that in consideration as you go out throughout this journey. Because with working with people, what they come to realize is that the goal was never really the goal. And a lot of times, these goals constantly change. And so for an example, just like I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to fit back in the jeans that I wore in college or high school even. And once people start getting involved, it's like, that's somewhat important to me, but I realize that there's a lot more things that I want to focus on than rather just doing that. And so it kind of becomes a process of recreation, if you will. You're kind of recreating the way in which you live your life, you're recreating the way in which you communicate with people, in which you decide to show up in your own life. And that's why fitness and nutrition is just such a small part of that, because there's so much more that gets involved in kind of making that bigger transformation. And at least in this industry, transformation is considered to be kind of like the physical outcome, right? Like you transformed your body. But what most people don't realize is that that is all an inside-out approach. So transformations actually have to come from pretty much in here and in here, and your physical state is a manifestation of your mental state, your emotional state, your spiritual state, depending on what you decide to believe in that. But a lot of the changes that are truly made, and the true transformation is kind of the way that you view your life in general, the way that you view yourself. And that's why a lot of these transformation programs really don't work, is because you take someone on a 60-day or 90-day challenge, you give them a meal plan if you want, you give them a workout routine. But a lot of times, they're following someone else's plan. And as soon as that plan is over, most people just can't wait to stop the diet. People can't wait till it's over. It's like, finally, I reached my goal, I'm done. And that's why people lose their results so quickly, because they're on this path in which they hate. They probably don't enjoy it very much. It probably feels a little bit too restricted. It probably feels in which someone else is kind of leading the way versus them kind of create their own path for themselves. And as humans, what we want most is freedom. We want freedom of choice, we want to have autonomy, we want to have a say in how we live our life. And so the problem with most of these transformation challenges is that most people can't keep the results they get. They don't have the proper foundations in terms of their habits or their systems, or in which the way that they need to keep them for the long run. And that is the biggest problem in the workout world in general, is that people get results, but they can't keep them because they haven't necessarily made the changes mentally that they need in order to keep the results, in order to sustain the results, because they just think it's a matter of nutrition, and they think it's a matter of willpower, they think it's a matter of discipline, they think it's a matter of just wanting it bad enough. And I've never met anyone who's had a long-term change focusing just on willpower, motivation, discipline, and wanting it bad enough. There's a lot of other things you have to consider. And so my question to you is simply this: am I currently doing the things that I need to do in order to change the way in which I live my life? And how much of that exists outside of just eating better and exercising? Because there's a lot more to it, because most people, they want better, they want more for themselves, they want to be better, they want to be their best self, they want to show up to their potential in which they know that they can. But a lot of times we engage in these acts of self-sabotage, if you will, or just fear-based mindset. I mean, I can go into all that, but I'm not. But my point being is that most people truly aren't happy with the way they're currently living their life, and they want to make these changes. And exercise and nutrition and just taking care of yourself is a good starting point. But also realize there's a lot more that go into that. And every goal you're searching for is a search for feeling. And so you're not looking to lose the 10 pounds, you're looking for the feeling as a result of that. And really figure out, why is it important for you to lose the 10 pounds? And I'm just going to kind of role play here, because this is the way the conversation usually goes. It's like, well, I want to feel more confident in myself. It's like, okay, well, what's preventing you from feeling confident in yourself right now? Why do you need more confidence in your life? I'm like, oh, Okay, well, I don't like the way I look. It's like, well, why don't you like the way you look? It's like, well, because X, Y, Z, 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 right? There's a lot of things that got you to where you are right now. You just don't suddenly become overweight overnight. There's a long kind of process of kind of removing yourself from taking care of yourself, right? It's a process in which you maybe once were in shape, or at one point you're currently living your life in a better way than you are right now. And so how did you actually get here? What happened that you are talking to me right now in this situation, and how did that kind of create that life for you, and then why did that happen? And so if you're willing to do the work into figuring out kind of how you got yourself in this position and why that happened, then it's going to be a lot easier to kind of reverse engineer all these things that you've done in order to get to where you are right now. And if you decide to do that, then you can start talking about having a long-term change, a long-term transformation in the way that you look and feel about yourself. And instead of just getting results for 60 days, 90 days, maybe 6 months, and all of a sudden you fall back off the wagon and you're right back to where you started. Because that's the most frustrating things for me as a personal trainer and a coach, and I know it's really frustrating for other people as well, is that they don't actually get to keep the results they get. Because most people can get results, they just can't keep them. So hopefully this helps kind of shed some light on that whole deeper aspect that's involved in like a transformation, and not just the mental part, not just the physical part, but kind of what actually has to happen for you to make the long-term change you want to see. So my prediction today, New England, unfortunately I don't want them to win, but it's Belichick and it's Brady. So happy Super Bowl Sunday, guys, take care.